네, 김주호 교수는
Professor Kim Joo had given a preview of 별별 생각, which is an experimental online platform on which people share their opinions on social issues, and we will be now seeing that 별별 생각. Please give a warm hand to Professor Kim Joo-ho. Good morning. In the previous presentation, we heard that bipolarization seems more pronounced than it actually is in the online context. As a computer scientist, I research the technology for empathy and communication. I'd like to show you what kind of impact that technology has on us and what we need to think about to develop a better technology. When you look at the services and apps online, it's to help the people share their opinions, and the examples include Facebook, Twitter, and comment windows on the news, online community bulletins, etc. You can empathize and communicate with others with likes and thumbs up, or it could lead to conflict and confrontation because of distribution of fake news and character assassination. And because of this, Kakao Portal Service banned web comments on entertainment news to stem defamation. Then can there be genuine empathy and communication in online space? Let us look at it from a developer's perspective, not from a user perspective. Creating SNS and online community is actually designing social interaction between the users. And in order to design the social interactions, we have to think about how we relate with others. And there is a human tendency, and the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. And if you think about your friends, people who you hang out with most, they're probably your age, your gender, you share similar political inclinations and values, and probably have similar jobs. So to design successfully the social interaction, the online services reflect this tendency of like-minded people liking each other. Let's look at some of the objectives of the technologies. One, grouping is made easier with these technologies. Think of the online community. It seems like a physical space or an organization which has distinct identity and culture. So like-minded people group together, and it creates sort of an exclusive space, and it brings up this sense of belonging. And it makes it easier to help the people find the people who share similar taste. So with the keyword, you can search the community that you want and you can join. And Facebook recommends other people who you might want to be friends with. And there's the recommendation engine, and it shows me what I probably want to see. So there are the customized research results on the very top, and YouTube pushes out these irresistible videos that I will probably want to see. So this is very smart technology, a great vision. But does it have problems? The biggest problem is it only lets us communicate with the like-minded people, and we only see the similar things. So we have access to unbalanced information and communication. And this leads to trapping us in our thoughts, and we are shut off in our little world. And second problem is we become hostile and antagonistic to others, and we oversimplify the other party, thinking that they're all the same. There's this out-group homogeneity. There's a perception that out-group members are more similar to one another than the in-group members. I'm a man, so I plead guilty. There are sometimes assumptions that I make. Women are women. And sometimes the progressives think that other people are all conservatives. So as a result, the bipolarization is more pronounced in the online space than in the actual space. So conveniently, I see only what I see, and I meet only the people I want, and that could backfire. And this could be amplified with the technology. So to use the analogy of food, let's say I like meat and I am fed meat for 3 meals a day, and I am brainwashed into thinking that food other than meat is bad for my health. Then how can we solve this problem? We observed this issue and we came up with experimental online application which is called 별별 생각. And our slogan is a place where different ideas shine brightly. I know this pun doesn't work in English, but 별 means star, and it also means this and that thought. So we named the platform 별별 생각. The research team, along with the SDF team, gave a sneak preview of this application for the last 3 weeks, and to date, 1,200 people visited and left us comments. And in the 별별 생각 platform, you can share your opinions about issues, and you can also view what others think about the same issue. Let's pretend there is a user who uses the name Kim-byul. She's in her 20s. She's moderate, progressive. She's in her senior year in college, and she's getting ready to work. And as to extending the retirement age by 5 years, she's strongly against it because she's worried that it will take the jobs away from the youth. And so the members of the audience, what do you think about extending the retirement age? Strongly against it, neutral, for, or very much in favor. So what is your opinion and why do you think that? Ms. Kim-byul comes into the 별별 생각. She shares her opinions about other issues like game addiction, autonomous private high schools in Korea, and then she enters her information about what age she is, her gender, her occupation, and lastly, her political inclination. And after she enters the information, then people's opinions are plotted like stars in the night sky. And you are now looking at the star chart, which shows 800 people's opinions, and 1 star stands for 1 person's opinion about the retirement age. And now I will show you the screen of 별별 생각. In order to find out how people feel generally about a certain issue, there's a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree. And you can see where the distribution is. And for the retirement age extension, more people were in agreement, but we see a scattered plot. Ms. Kim-byul is highlighted in red, so she can find out where her opinion is positioned. And you can click on other individual opinions and their reasons of why they're against or for it. We have to get ready for aging society, or we need to reserve the jobs for the youth, etc. And also you can organize this in a table format. And depending on the separate criteria, you can find out the distribution of opinions. So if we look at it by age group, in her 20s, 30s, and 40s, we see that the older that they get, there are more people in agreement of extending the retirement age. But as you can see, it's not drastically divided. And even within the same age group, we have a scattered distribution. Ms. Kim-byul is in her 20s. She's moderate progressive. She's a university student. And let's look at some of the more specific cases. And there are other women in her 20s and with the same political tendencies, and they may think differently from Kim-byul. Because of longer life expectancy and getting prepared for the aging society, they may be more in agreement with extending retirement age. And what about others who feel the same way with Kim Byul? We see that they're not all in her age group or gender or political tendencies. So we can look at it from a diverse perspective. She is a senior year in university, so she's thinking about getting a job, but then she gets to think about her parents who's nearing their retirement age. So looking at others' opinions, she can modify her original opinion. And within one issue, we have these complex scatter plots. And for each issue, we get more complex star charts. And for every issue, our opinions may become more complex. And we feel that reform of the prosecutor's office will have the society divided, but it's more evenly spread out than we thought. So there are many serious observers, and maybe we're just listening to the extreme voices. This was just a simple experiment. And through this, we realized how complex we are, how complex others are, and how complex the combination of mine and others' ideas are. So it's like looking at the stars at night, and we become humble, and we look at the complex opinions other people have, and we are surprised at the diversity and the complexity. So we should move away from this black and white dichotomy in which everyone who thinks the same as me is right and others are wrong. Of course, these applications are made with the good intent, but with a different intention, if you develop the technology, it could be a totally different application. We have this list up of recommended opinions in 별별 생각. And if we turn on this function, then the different opinions from mine are listed first. So this is to help me listen more carefully to people's opinions that are different from mine. And what is behind this is computer algorithm. The definition of algorithm is a series of tasks performed by the computer to solve problems. And the algorithm is solving the problem of showing the user diverse opinions. So it selects the different opinions first and shows that at the top. So there is the recommendation function in 별별 생각, and online services including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Naver, they also use algorithm. So what to show, what not to show, and what to show first. That is determined by algorithm, and it also filters any types of profanity, obscenity, insults, and false information. So algorithm acts as a filter and screens what information to give and what not to give. So depending on how the algorithm shows us the world, our thinking may be affected. In 별별 생각, the algorithm determines which star to show and which star to shine more brightly. What if the algorithm just shows the stars that have similar opinions as me, or it just shows the stars with opposite opinions from me? And what if it shows mixed opinions? And what does mixed mean in this context? And who can define this, and how can they define it, and how can this be reflected in algorithm? And what is the right approach to show this much data? There is an AI technology that enables automatic object detection in photographs, and so this helped photo search. But there was this issue of the computer recognizing Africans as gorillas, but this didn't happen to Caucasians. According to KAIST study in 2015, if you do the image search on Google for occupations like CEOs and and telemarketers, it shows the bias that we have about specific gender and specific occupations. So the results are more skewed than what is actual. And the algorithm contains the designer's the intent. The YouTube and Facebook services have the algorithm to keep the users online longer so that they consume more content. So they recommend the contents that we probably want to see. Algorithm is computer driven, so we may think that it's objective and neutral, but as we saw, algorithm is made by man and it could contain the prejudice, bias, stereotypes, and the intention of the developer. Algorithm is everywhere, so it affects what we see, what we come across, and how we communicate and how we think. Of course, many algorithms have been designed to enhance convenience with a very good intent. But as a user, we need to be very picky about algorithm. So we need to have a full understanding of algorithm and we need to be critical of algorithm. So the training shouldn't just be focused on coding, how to design and make codes. There should be more in-depth training about how algorithm can affect our communication. And we need to understand the bias and risk of distortion within algorithm so that we can make better algorithm. And as a user, we have the right to ask for a sound and robust algorithm. Today, I talked about the technology that enables empathy and communication. And the technology and algorithm have contributed greatly to empathy and communication, but depending on how that is made, it could be a blessing or it could be a poison. And I showed you the application 별별 생각, and we wanted to share this message of what it means to be different. So we shouldn't take sides. We're just stars shining in the night sky, and we have different thoughts. So we have this tendency to want to mingle with the people who are like-minded, and the technology has the potential to amplify this. But people who I thought was different is really similar to me, and people who I thought was similar to me may be completely different from me. So we shouldn't take sides, and if somebody thinks differently, I just think that he's the enemy, but that comes from a deep misunderstanding. And it's because we only see one side. We are very complex. And because of this complexity, we may look the same, but we are all different. And complexity and difference can be a benefit. Because we're different, it could be more interesting and fun, and it opens new possibilities for more empathy and communication. And we need to demand the technology that accentuates the difference and be able to make that technology. What are the conditions for accepting differences and widen the breadth of empathy and communication in our daily life? Dean of Seogang University, Ms. Na Eun-young of Media Arts and Science, will now come up to the